Hey guys, welcome to Schneider Time. Let's keep talking about identity. So here we are, part two. Clearly, I'm wearing the same shirt, so this is definitely like the same day. So I got into this kind of topic. This is really going to be kind of a thin part two, like most sequels are. That's right. I'm looking at you, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Most sequels, most part twos are not add much, and so I don't really want to add much. I just want to just continue the thought process from the first part. We in this modern society run the risk of reducing ourselves. We reduce our identity to a fraction of who we are. So whether we, I mentioned before, like oftentimes it's in terms of activity. That's a big one. But sometimes it's in terms of like a unique quality or characteristic. So okay, I mentioned before, I'm a creative person. Most of you don't see this, okay, but I'm a creative person. But let's just say I said, all right, my identity is I am a creative person. And that's all I'm going to say about myself. Or like my dad's generation would have, my dad not particularly, but my dad's generation would have defined themselves like oftentimes by their party allegiance. I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican or whatever. If that becomes like your identity in totality, you are reducing yourselves to a fraction. Okay, fractions are only a part of the whole, right? You guys know fractions, right? Yeah, right. A fraction is, it's a numerator over a denominator, and the numerator indicates how many parts, and the you have, and the denominator indicates how many parts of the total there were or there are. So if you've got 1/2, you've got one part out of two. If you've got 3/5, you've got three parts out of five. And oftentimes we reduce our identity to one or two things out of a whole slew of things that really wrap up and define who we are. Here's a challenge for you. If you've done a thought cloud before, take a paper, lay it out long ways, and then write your name, or write I wrote the word identity in the middle, and then draw out all the major elements of who you are, and then realize how impossible it is to reduce yourself to a single thing. Okay, we've joked before about how much I love Superman, right? And people are like, "What's so great about Superman?" It's hard to reduce a character, right, to one thing, but it's easier than a person. I think for Superman, what I like about him is this ever-present striving to be the best man. It's not about his powers; it's about his internal struggle to exemplify hope and to exemplify the best of humanity. Even though he's not human, he wants to be the best that humanity has to offer. In terms of his character, which then informs his actions. See the last video. So it's hard for a character, but it's easier for a character than for a person. There's so much complexity to me concerning not just who I am in this present, but who I have been and who I hope to be in the future. And so when we reduce ourselves to a single element of our identity, whether it's an activity, whether it's a party allegiance or religious allegiance or any kind of thing you can label yourself with to reduce yourself, you do damage to your identity and you make yourself smaller. And I've seen so many students do this. They'll discover a part of their personality in high school, which is fine. You should be discovering who you are at this time of your life, but they'll discover one thing and make that one thing everything. And that's where you reduce yourselves. When you find a discovery about yourself, great, unpack it, explore it, share it with your family and friends. Ask them, because they know you well, to help you explore this element of your personality. Fill in the gaps. Oh, this is why I'm like this is why I'm like that. Because you're always unpacking yourself your entire life. But when you take that one thing and you center it and make it your entire identity, then you ignore everything else there is to discover about yourself, and you reduce yourself to such a small element, you do damage to your psyche, your psychology, your soul, if you want to use that word. You do damage to your internal self, and you limit yourself from future growth. Don't do that. Don't reduce yourself to this tiny little element. We're called individuals. An individual should be, in essence, indivisible, meaning you cannot divide the individual further. You are a singularity. You are a single person, and only you exists in your, emotional, spiritual, mental space. You are the only person like you. And so when you reduce yourself to a singular label, in essence, you turn yourself into everyone else who uses that same label. If you just said, oh, gosh darn, I'm trying to think of a good label, but I don't want to use a label you might use. I don't want to call anybody out and make them feel like I'm targeting your group, because that's another problem with labeling. But if I said I'm a plaid shirt wearer, that's who I am. I'm a plaid shirt wearer, and I reduce myself to just that thing, then all I'm doing, I'm cutting off any other diverse elements of who I am, and I am lumping myself into a group of people who are plaid shirt wearers who might be radically different from me in every other area of my life. But I'm saying I'm just like them, and I'm only like them. And that is so destructive, and it causes so much tribalism in our society, where I can't comment on a group of people like, oh, this group here is, they have an issue with this, or their ideology here. I can't comment on that because everyone says, no, if you comment on that, you're attacking my entire self. No, I'm not. I'm commenting on a certain element of society, a certain element of your personality and your identity, but not you. And that's the problem. We've reduced ourselves to a single thing, and then we do damage to our internal life, and then we so tie ourselves to that label that no commentary, no discussion can be had in our society about the competing interest groups and identities we see. We can't comment on ideology, we can't comment on rhetoric without doing damage to our individualities, and that's dangerous both for us and for society. Do not reduce yourself to a single element of who you are. You are not what you do. You are who you are. Figure out who you are in all your complexities and all your diversity. Figure out who you are and explore that, and continue to find ways to improve who you are. I don't mean this in a obsessive kind of way, but the only person you need to be better than, the only person you need to compete with, is who you were yesterday. Just try and be a little bit better than you were yesterday. Be a little bit more truer to yourself, a little more truer to those around you, a little more kind, a little more understanding, a little more patient. That's all I ask. Have a good day. Goodbye, 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 goodbye.
Here I am, growing old.